Hey up everyone, welcome back. Well, we're going to continue with the Indian / Enfield today. Move to the back end, put the swinging arm on and some nice new suspension units. And I have to apologise because I noticed in a couple of videos I've called them shocks, see? A little bit of Americanism creeping in, or a little bit of modernism should I say, seeing as I've got rock shocks on my Trials bike. Anyway, we're going to put the swinging arm in. I'll zoom in a moment for that because it's Ariel Leader, so it's slightly different. Oop, there's a big truck. Then we're going to put in rear mud guard, probably the number plate head, rear light unit mounting at the back, and then we'll go up to the other end and put on the front mud guard. Although I've said that what we're going to do a couple of times and we've never actually got round to it, but hopefully today is just bolting things on, so we should be able to buzz along at a reasonable rate. So let's start off by having a look at the swinging arm. Right, well the first thing you're going to notice is an enormous hole in the support plate and a much smaller through bolt. That's because the bolt itself doesn't go into the plate. The swinging arm runs on bronze bushes with a tube through the bronze bush and then the swinging arm. But what there is on each side is a sort of thrust piece, and on one side of the thrust piece it has this boss, and the boss fits into that hole, so the thrust piece is being supported in the plate. Then on the back of it there's a recess, and the tube that goes through the swinging arm fits into that recess, so now the frame is supporting this on this boss, and this recess is supporting the cross piece. So the bolt itself isn't really doing much except clamping the whole thing together. Then we have a dust seal that goes on there, across onto here, to keep the muck out and hopefully the grease in, because the cross bolt has grease nipples in it. So what we're going to do, as I say, hopefully today, is pop that in there like thus. Pop that one in there. Right, then I will walk around the other side. Now you notice I've got this standing on a wooden box here. That's so you're not trying to carry the weight of everything, you can just rest it on there while you're getting this in here. So that goes in there. Make sure of course you put the swinging arm in the right way up. I have been known to get it all in there and then suddenly discover that it's upside down. Oh, look, I'm doing it already. Nobody said anything. Dust seals. Da, 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 da. So we'll take that out. That on there. I can't remember which is the easiest way to do this, to put them on there first or to put them on the swinging arm. But we'll try it this way. And I think maybe we'll put them on the swinging arm and it will give us a little bit of space to play with, because they are rubber. Oh yeah, they go right on, look. See, it's a long time since I did this. They'll go on there nicely out the way. Then we can put that in. Then we can put that in. It comes out to the side. Put these nice flash big nuts on. Like that. Check you're getting a decent view of this, not too far away. Well, tell you what, let's move you a little bit. How's that? Yes, that'll do. All I think you missed here is these rubber things. I pushed them up onto the swinging arm because it gave me more room. Now I can get them on here. They go on like that. So what I'm going to do here is tighten all this up. And I'm going to tighten up the bolt at the bottom, the very bottom one I hadn't tightened up, to allow a little bit of spring in this. And then we'll be able to tighten this up easier. Now, we had a comment on the last video about had I forgotten to put the oil in the forks. What am I looking for? I don't know. Something about that size maybe. Nope, next size up. About oil, yes, in the forks. So I hadn't forgotten it, but because I'm prone to forget things, what I like to do is all the lubricants together, and that way I don't forget them. So I'll start at the front end, put oil in the forks, engine oil, chain case oil, gearbox oil, and grease things, etc. And as I say, that way it's not a question of, oh, did I put that in when I was building it, or was I waiting to the end, etc, etc. So I tell you what, let me tighten these up and then we'll come back. So now we're ready for our rear suspension units, and the Enfield ones are quite short actually. Your average is round about 13 inches and the Enfield ones are only 11.5. So if you want to put anything longer on, you're going to have to make sure you clear this part of the frame, the bottom. Look, I think it gets close. Okay. I maybe should have moved that before, shouldn't you? Okay, so it goes in there like thus. I fortunately have a place here in New York, not far away from me, called British Tools and Fasteners, that do these really nice. They do all the British threads, but it's not just that. The bolts have nice domed heads, and the nuts are flat on one side. They are it's very nice hardware indeed. Point. And that goes on there. And these top bolts are quite long because you've got various brackets for the seat. So there's one. I'll take the Hagen stickers off just because obviously the original ones didn't have Hagen. They had they had Girlings. Don't think they had Armstrongs, did they? No, I think they were Girling. That on there, that on there, that in there, and it lines up, which means things must be straight, which is always nice. Goes in there. Goes on there. I'll box away. Actually, that thing about the oil and doing that together, I do the same with nuts and bolts. Rather than relying on remembering to tighten everything up as I go, whenever I've finished a job, I start with the fork end caps, get my set of spanners out, and I go over every single nut, bolt and screw on the entire bike from one end to the other end. That way old age doesn't catch up with me and somebody doesn't ride out of the workshop and have a bit fall off, maybe even an important bit. So how does that look? Let's zoom you out. Hey, it's starting to look a little bit like a motorcycle, isn't it? Let me go and find the rear mudguard and we'll put that on next. Alright, belay that last statement, because even though nice as it looks, I just remembered it actually bolts onto the saddle pan. You remember all those brackets when we were trying to get things apart? So as a piece goes across here and then it bolts to a piece on the battery toolbox thing when it goes in there. And I haven't done the saddle yet, so what we'll do is we'll put the front mudguard in. Now because this is quite a deeply valanced mudguard, you know, it's not like the blade ones, you can't just put this into the forks and turn it like that. This has got to go in through the bottom with the fork legs in the recesses. And also you're going to find as I go there that I've actually turned the forks around because the two bosses for the brake plates to go into are actually narrower than this as well. So what I'm going to do is put the brackets on and then we'll slide it up at the forks and then turn the forks around and then get some bolts on. So everything will have to be very loose. In fact, I think what we'll do is I'll just put this one on, because this one has a double mounting at the bottom. The brake cable stop goes on there, and then that goes onto the forks as well. So if we put this in, this will hold it reasonably nicely. So let's get some nice. Now again here, this isn't going to a museum. This is going to be ridden, hopefully. And whenever I build bikes here in the States, or actually I suppose in the UK, seeing as now everything's metric, I can't see the point in things like these nuts and bolts going to the whole palaver of getting them BSF or BSC or whatever. As I say, if it was going in a museum or you wanted it absolutely perfect, then yes. But if you want nuts and bolts that if you lose one, you can go out and get one, then obviously it's much nicer to put in whatever's available in your local hardware shop. So I'm using stainless steel, the round top ones, the nice ones with the little Allen bolt, because they're nice and easy to put together and I think they look very nice also. So we're going to put these on. So I'm just mentioning that so nobody gets on and says, hey, it's not right, it hasn't got the correct hardware. Well, it's got hardware you're going to be able to find. And I think that is a little more important to people who are going to use the bikes. I've been annoyed a few times when I've been at bike rallies. I've just told you it's an Allen, haven't I? And did I get an Allen bolt? No. I've got two spanners. Okay. You get there and you'll see an absolutely beautiful bike that's not only beautiful, but it's beautiful because obviously somebody's put a lot of time and effort into it. And you get some wally who'll come up and say, oh look, it's got the wrong bolt heads or something like that. That just annoys the life out of me. So consequently, I don't get all bent out of shape about things like that. Another interesting thing here, full of trivia today, if I buy 1/4" washers, they're huge. But if I buy 6mm washers, they're just nicely just slightly larger than the head. There are a couple of different things here about that actually. There's plain washers and I think it's SAE washers. I don't know, it's all far too technical for a simple-minded Yorkshireman like me. And that's my excuse and I am sticking to it. If you're wondering what this bit of white you can see here and there is, it's some dried polish. We'll get rid of all of that before we're done. So, I can now move these back over there because I was going to put them all on together. And we're going to need 2 more bolts, 4 washers and 2 nuts at each side. They're going to go on this side. And that about. I'll be with you in a second. That comes off there. I'm just trying to get everything ready, so I'll get 3 more 5/16 washers, lock washers out for the little studs that are in the forks. Okay, let me move you now, instead of a disembodied voice, to the front. So here we go, and you see, as I say, I've turned the forks around. Let's see if we can get this in here without damaging the paintwork. As you can see, they now slide up there, and I've got to turn these back round. All clever stuff, isn't it? Then that is going to come up. It's going to go on there like that, supposedly. Going to go on there. See if I can just get these in, it'll hold things in place. That one in. Of course, I've left the other one over here. Now. All right. So far, so good. Now then, let's see. We have a long one and a short one. That obviously is the short one. One end is 5/16. And one end is 1/4, so you can't get yourself really mixed up. Although, of course, they're famous last words, if ever there were any, aren't they? As those of you who've seen many of my videos know. Wow. on that way. Or is it going? No, it's got to go on that way, look. Presumably all you can see is my hat. You've got to admit it's a nice hat. Goes in there. I'll be out of your way in a second. That's going to go through there. My God, that went on as well. How are we doing well today, folks? Except you watch. When we tighten it up, it'll be all twisted or something like that. Okay. That's going to go on there. Whoops, that's going to go on there like that. I don't know if I told you, but this is actually the wrong colour. This is Chinese red, or very near to Chinese red. But in 1955, all the models were in Indian red, which is more like sort of BSA maroon. And of course I'd already painted everything because I thought they were Chinese red. So I asked myself, are you going to repaint everything? And I thought, I'm a bollocks. So consequently, it's in Chinese red. And I think Chinese red is very nice. Oh, I didn't want that nut on there yet. Not until I've got... until I've got maybe they both look like 1/4 inch. Oh, just a bit of paint. It's amazing. You'd think paint was so thin, but particularly things like rear suspension units that have the adjusters that slide on that you turn round. Least little bit of paint and those damn things won't go on. My God, folks, that hole lined up also. Let me see what you see. That's rather nice, isn't it? Huh. Okay, let me tighten things up and I'll show you the next thing on this mudguard. So there's our mudguard fastened in, and there's one more thing to go on this, so let me zoom you in and I'll show you that. Now, one of the things they did to make this more Indian and less Royal Enfield was to put that on there. Now, I've got a bunch of stuff from Hitchcock's and I was really pleased to see that they had these, but I must admit I'm a little disappointed. This was £80, $110, that's without shipping, and when it arrived it's just a jelly mould. So, as I say, wasn't best pleased with that, but anyway, let's see if we can get it fitted. I noticed it doesn't exactly follow the curve of the contour, so I'm a little bit worried about how it'll tighten up. this isn't going to stay on with her. This is one of these. How do you get it on with a washer with only one pair of hands? Okay, there's that. And of course that one now is nowhere near long enough. Isn't that a pisser? Oh, pardon me. Isn't that annoying, I should have said. So I'm going to have to find a bigger longer bolt. See what size that is. That is a 632 by 3/8. And I want one considerably longer. It's not going to look too bad, but it's not touching all the way around. And of course, I don't know what it's made out of, but it feels reasonably rigid. I think if I tried to bend this, it'd break. So that's that. Let's pull you back again. See it in all its glory. There we go. Alright, what else can we do today? I know what, steering damper. Let me get the bits. Now the steering damper is one of the old type of friction dampers, and basically what we've got is a mounting point on the frame here and a plate with a couple of pins here. This plate bolts into there. You know what, I'm going to put that there just for now in case I drop this. So that plate goes in and bolts to that. Then there's some friction material, and then another plate which here you can see goes onto these two pins, and the centre of which is threaded. And a long rod comes down through there and screws into this, and as you tighten this, you pull this up and you clamp the friction material in between those two pieces. The top piece being fastened to the frame, the bottom piece being fastened to the yoke, means that you're putting a friction damping on the movement of the forks. Simple as that. And therefore are negligible in effect. Well, it does work, but you know, it's not like a hydraulic one which will take sudden movements and allow quiet, easy movements and just damp out the sudden ones. This just applies pressure, so it just tightens up the steering at all times. Now it's just struck me that normally is, let me pull you out here so you can see the top. Where this goes in the top, there's normally a spring washer here to just tighten, take up any slack in that, just to keep it tensioned while it's on. So I'm going to search for that. So let's just leave that for the moment. You know how it works, so next time when you see it bolted on, you'll know what's what. Well, I found a longer bolt for the little Indian thing, so that's on there tightened up. I've had a word with Hitchcock's about the saddle, and unfortunately they don't have foam or cover, so I'm going to phone Leighton's this coming week in the UK, see if they can do something for me. Other than that, I'll have to try one of the local upholsterers and see if I can get a decent photograph so that I can get one made up. Okay, got a box though, so I now have Where'd that come from? I now have rims and spokes, so I'm going to get stuck in. I'll order some tyres and we're going to have wheels. So next video is probably putting the brake hubs together and all the little bits that go on the brake plates, and we'll get that done. So finally, I have noticed that a few of the people whose videos I watch have a little exit thing, you know, some little still photographs of what they did during the video with some nice little music. So I thought to myself, maybe I should do that. I can get my son Adam to write a new piece of music, an extra piece, seeing as he wrote the intro piece. So I thought about it, and then I thought to myself, sod it.